Juventus and Inter strike decisively. Yes, Marchisio and Balotelli each scoring a goal, while Pirlo sells the perfect dummy to give Italy a 2-1 win over England in the World Cup 2014 Group D opener. Costa Rica pull off the first real upset of this World Cup so far with a sensational 3-1 win over Uruguay. And remember, Radamel Falcao was in the stands and he definitely wasn't missed as Colombia broke down the defensive Greeks in style to start their World Cup campaign with 3 points. Hello and welcome to CNN IBN's The Beautiful Gamer, continuing in-depth coverage of the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. Yes, it is Forza Azzurri indeed, as the 3 Lions were tamed late last night in Manaus by a superb and classical Italian team. And joining us, 2 sleepy-faced gentlemen. You might be asking why they're sleepy-faced. Yes, because the match ended well past 5 this morning. Novi Kapadia, the voice of Indian football, I'm sure will be excited to talk about not just Pirlo but also the fact that Rooney should be forgotten maybe in time to come for English football. Also Karim Ben-Sharifa, Indian club football's finest tactical mind. Good morning Karim, good morning Novi, welcome to the show. But before we get to our 2 guests, let's take you through what exactly happened. Italy emerging victorious in the battle of the European heavyweights, claiming a 2-1 win over England in their Group D clash. Now the game got off to a cracking start with England's young attackers worrying with their pace on the break, even as the classy Italians enjoyed 2/3 of the possession initially. And it would be the brilliant Andrea Pirlo who would help break the deadlock even without the ball. A short corner from the right had Pirlo selling the perfect dummy for his Juventus colleague Claudio Marchisio to receive it with a single touch, and after getting his balance right, Marchisio fired it in through a sea of legs and the crowd went ballistic. But England hit back within just 2.5 minutes of the Italian goal. Raheem Sterling seizing the ball in midfield to send it across wide left for Rooney to pick it up. And Rooney responded, picking up the feed with ease to send in the perfect cross for Daniel Sturridge to side foot it in. 1-1, and Manaus was witnessing a thriller. Italy then struck right after the restart as Candreva foxed the Baines and sent in a measured cross for Balotelli to rise to the occasion with a magnificent header. England went for broke, all out for the equalizer, but the Italians held on to complete a highly satisfying 2-1 win and open their proceedings in the Group of Death. All right, so the 3 Lions finally tamed. Let's break it down at least via numbers. This is how exactly the match panned out. Italy enjoying a relatively higher share of possession, 55% to 45%. Look at the number of shots England took. 18 shots, only 5 were on target, while Italy had 13 shots, 4 on target, but they managed to score the 2 goals needed for a victory. 9 corners for England. They had the penetration at the end, but it simply did not matter because Italy proved to be the superior team, sitting back in their own defense after setting up the 2nd goal. What a performance there from England. But Novi Kapadia, you must be surprised by the fact that yes, England went for youth, England did go for pace on the flanks, but the fact is that it was a classical Italian team which taught them a great lesson in the art of football.
Yes, that's certainly correct, but interesting to see, at least 31 shots in 90 minutes. So it's like you're having a shot at goal every 3 minutes. Entertainment, and that England kept attacking. They used their strength, pace and vigor, and the youngsters lived up to the occasion. But ultimately, yes, the class of Italy was telling.
The class of Italy. But on the other hand, Karim, yes, there was a huge build-up to this massive match in the group of death, England versus Italy. Roy Hodgson actually went for Raheem Sterling. We had discussed the lineups late last night. The fact is that he did get Sterling ahead of Lallana, but the fact that he did not get the desired results. Yes, there were a few positives, but it seemed that the Italians knew how to win this game perfectly.
Of course, I mean, we could notice clearly yesterday that there was a much improved England performance compared to the last World Cup. Sterling play a good role. But the Italians was definitely more matured and more smart on the way how they handle the game, keeping possession at the right time, going forward quickly at the right time, and that's what give the Italians that advantage that they got in this game.
We'll obviously get a lot of time to talk about all of the important factors in the game, but Novi, once again, Wayne Rooney disappointed. Let's forget about the cross. The fact of the matter is that, you do not come as a visitor to grand occasions like a World Cup. Everybody has delivered. Why is Rooney yet to deliver?
Yes, this remains an enigma. I mean, is Rooney going to be one more of those players who only shine for his club, excels for Manchester United? This time, really no excuses, because there's no metatarsal, there's no real major injury. Of course, there are a few problems about his, contract with Manchester United, but either he's unhappy in that position, being placed there on the
He's
left.
certainly been unhappy in that left position, at least in Manchester United. Said it many times. Although in the end he actually conceded that yes, we do not really play only on the left, but we interchange our positions. But certainly it looked like Rooney was not really clear about his job out there.
Yes, it certainly did. And Rooney seemed sort of, he seemed lost at times.
Right.
There's not that involvement that you get with Manchester United, where he's, the heart and soul of the team, the gusto, the zeal, the tackling, moving forward in attack.
Right.
There was that look in his eyes when he plays for Manchester United. Somehow it's missing for England. I mean, somewhere somebody has to take him by the scruff of the neck and make him play to his ability.
Right.
It is disappointing.
It is disappointing, maybe.
Or put him on the bench. Yes, I agree with you.
Put him on the bench.
Otherwise, just take the gamble.
That is specifically something which we've been speaking about. Yes, there has been a lot of talk about Wayne Rooney and his simply the lack of performance. But Karim, while you open up this telestrator and you're trying to today, in fact, Karim would be surprised at what exactly would be his job, because it will be very difficult to break down tactically the match. England were broken apart, literally torn apart, except for the last 10 to 12 minutes. But if I could ask you, the fact is something which you gave a lot of importance yesterday, about the fact that Marchisio, De Rossi and Pirlo, would the duo of Henderson and Gerrard be good enough to take them on? They simply were outclassed in this battle.
Well, Italy came yesterday on a kind of 4-4-2 on diamond. We have the Balotelli, and then Pirlo was more on a free role, but more advanced role. And then we have De Rossi, Verratti, and Marchisio especially.
Right.
And if you notice yesterday, basically the Italians, number one, they give a lot of freedom to Pirlo, knowing his class and contribution for the game, but they also attack a lot the left side of Baines. And that's what the confusion of Rooney came in.
He did not know whether to support Baines or move forward.
Exactly. Normally he's happy to get into those positions, to stay into this area and start attacking, but now he had the job to start coming down, because there was the Italians did well by targeting that side, Marchisio as well, and even Pirlo dropped a little bit and start attacking from that side. In fact, the goal also of Balotelli came also from that side.
But one of the highlights was, yes, we will talk about the big players and the big numbers, which we'll show in a bit. But yes, Pirlo played very well. He did not really tear apart England, but still he had it was a masterclass from him. But one of the surprise elements in this performance, surely you will agree, Karim, is Kandreva, the way he worked through the right flank and actually tore apart Baines. That's where England were literally outwitted. They did not know what to do. Whether Gerrard should fall back or play the holding midfielder, he did not know what to do.
Absolutely, because here it became, especially when Rooney doesn't do that job at the right time to come back and support. Henderson and Gerrard had just both of them to do the job of trying to help Bain. And the other problem that England had is they had to. Sterling was tremendous,
terrific.
But sometimes I saw him. He had to drop back and help the two center midfielders and Gerrard, which didn't help England in sometimes keeping players.
There
on the
seemed
half
to
of
be
the-
a lot of space for the Italians to exploit going forward. But Karim, do you sense as a coach that this is again a point you brought up so nicely yesterday, that did England miss a trick by not marking Pirlo continuously? Because there was continuously there was no marker who was behind Pirlo.
Well, that's what the plan, the clever, because Pirlo usually also play on the position of De Rossi.
Right.
Most of the time, he's the one who go and pick up the ball from the back four and start the build up. But yesterday he was on a free, on basically a free role, and he's very intelligent player. When he was always, if you notice, behind the two defensive or the two center midfielders of England, Henderson and Gerrard. He was always on this gap, getting into those spaces and getting the ball, and from there they initiate he initiate those passes to Balotelli, to Candreva.
Maybe Roy Hodgson should have listened more carefully to what Karim is analysing here on CNN IBN. But Novi Kapadia, yes, there was confusion about Wayne Rooney's role and the fact that he was possibly confused by the way Leighton Baines was taken apart by Candreva and the others. But you are a big player, you are a big match player. It is time to prove it. And the fact that he went there with possibly a little bit less of pressure this time, because there's not so much of expectation from England as the media themselves are reporting. But he simply failed to impose himself on the game.
He did not impose himself at all, and as I said, it's unfortunate because, I mean, the greats of Manchester United, he has the example of Bobby Charlton, who played in 4 World Cups and always delivered for England, in fact, as much for England as he did for Manchester United, or even his illustrious predecessor, Rooney's predecessor, like David Beckham, who, despite problems in '98 with Simeone, also gave his best for England. But probably, yes, what Karim is saying, and tactically it did seem that Rooney seemed confused whether to help fall back and help Leighton Baines. Now I wonder if Hodgson is thinking, should he have gone more for the experience of Ashley Cole? That debate is going to surely arise in the English newspapers.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there have been a number of English players who, former English players, or rather also players who have not been in the squad. They were tweeting about, their feelings going right into the match. But on the other hand, yes, the team selection was innovative, it was new, it was energetic, it was bold on part of Hodgson, because he's not really that courageous a coach. As of now, we've not seen him. But did he miss a trick by not getting the speed of Adam Lallana? Because when Lallana came in, he certainly made a difference in the Italian ranks.
I am quite convinced with the selection of Welbeck. If you see, he also a player who can play up front, who can play behind the striker, but being put on the right, he did the job. He defended as well as attacked when it's necessary. Again, we come back to the place of Lallana, Adam Lallana. I think it's Wayne Rooney, because for me, Wayne Rooney should play either on a striker position, or behind the striker. But if you're not selecting him there, then rather he should bench him and play with the 3 good players with a lot of pace and energy: Adam Lallana, Sterling, and Welbeck behind Sturridge.
Okay, fair enough. We discussed quite a bit about England, but also the fact that it was a tactical masterclass, as both of you have acknowledged, from Italy. Forget about Pirlo for a bit, but the likes of De Rossi, Marchisio, Candreva, their work rate, Novi, was unbelievable. They were literally, wherever the movement was there, whenever there was space, they were exploiting it, they were moving forward, they were coming back, they were retracting from their advanced positions when England upsurge took place. And also the fact that the number of long balls which they were delivering is something which maybe rattled England themselves.
Yes, Italy mixed it up well. There wasn't that just traditional languid short passing build up. They used the long ball, they used the pace. Now, this was expected. To give Pirlo time and space, the other 3 had to do a lot of running and show extra mobility. Daniel De Rossi and Marchisio are proven campaigners. Candreva was a revelation, and Italy seemed to do this in every major tournament. There's somebody who comes up as a surprise. you know, you had Toto Schillaci in the 1990 World Cup, emerged as the top scorer. And I mean, this could be Kandreva's World Cup.
Right, Karim, yes, before you make your point, I must ask you about, you know, Super Mario. The only guy from Inter Milan, as a couple of my friends, they message me, they're Inter Milan supporters, the only guy from Inter Milan who's always a sort of a oddity out there. It's very difficult whether he delivers or he actually backfires, you know, putting him there in the team. But the fact of the matter is that Balotelli, if we could put up the numbers on our screens, he was more than just a menace. He was not just a striker standing there in the England last third. The fact of the matter is that he was taking his chances. He was pushing forward with the ball or without the ball, and he was not afraid to take the shots even from a distance. That showed his intent this time.
I feel Prandelli is basically one coach who is the perfect guy who know how to handle Mario Balotelli, because most of the time the nonsense of Balotelli is most of the time at the club level. But we watch him with the Italian national team. He deliver most of the time, and yesterday there was no exception. He's definitely a quality striker. Yesterday, beside the winner that he gave, his work rate, and as you rightly explained, he was involved in the game, unlike what we was discussing about Ronnie.
Novi, you also, the other fact is that you're convinced by this putting Balotelli up there and this three-man, the jewel lineup of Marchisio, De Rossi and Pirlo, because they have delivered, they certainly delivered in style and with impact against England, but will they be able to do it against tougher teams?
You see, I mean, something Rooney could learn from Balotelli. I mean, Balotelli delivers for the country. He keeps his volatile temperament under control, and either Prandelli handles him very well, or Balotelli seems to be different when he wears the jersey of the Azzurri. Italy seemed, they've got off to a winning start, which is very rare for Italy. It was a very positive start, and they are, because of that upset of Costa Rica, Italy is well on their way to topping this group. And yes, I think this is a team which could go far. They are slowly and steadily building up. All the three lines, the defense was good.
Right.
No problems with Buffon being replaced. Midfield outstanding, and with Balotelli in good form, he's always a dangerous striker for any defense.
Right. Karim, also the fact is that, yes, as you were explaining, Italy is mixed up as game. So it's not really about a formation which England could have put in to actually take on this tactical masterclass from Prandelli. But also the fact is, if you look at their passing game, they had a completion rate of 92% of their passes, which is the highest percentage of passes completed by any team in a World Cup game since 1986. So definitely Prandelli is instilling the discipline that you play with your flair. When you score, you can hold it back, but make sure you are accurate with your passes.
Absolutely, they kept possession, especially when they was up 2-1. They make it difficult for England even to get the ball. We talked a lot about the possession of Spain, and that's the best way to defend, because you don't give the ball to the opponent. Italy did it very well. This Italian midfield especially remind me of the midfield of the France during the World Cup '98.
Yes.
You know, you have an artist, which is Pirlo, which you can compare to Zidane, and you have three crafty players who work their heart out behind him, just like France with Deschamps, Vieira and Makelele. Marchisio, Verratti and De Rossi.
Right.
They do tremendous job, and because of their job, they give all the freedom for Pirlo to do his magic.
I love this answer by Karim, because yes, I can see his French connection burning brightly in this answer. Yes, it's a good one to actually connect. But as we close this one, this particular game, Novi, a quick one on Andre Pirlo. Yes, he did not really tear apart the English team as we had expected, or the way he generally plays, but still the amount of work, the work rate he's taken upon himself. 108 passes completed, which is the highest by any player on either side, and his pass accuracy percent is close to 96%. That obviously tells you about the craft, the supreme craft of Pirlo. And also the last minute, he just comes up, takes a free kick, and all of us who were watching thought the ball would be going over. The goalkeeper was on the wrong side, and suddenly comes back, kisses the bar and goes out. That's the magic of Pirlo.
Yes, and also he's, fired a salvo for the aging players. So far in this World Cup, Pirlo is the only exception. Otherwise, all the veterans seem that they are well on their way out from all the teams that we've seen. Spain, Uruguay, So Pirlo is the only veteran who's really lived up to expectations.
Right.
And like wine and his vineyard, he seems to get better with age.
Right.
And I thought because of the running, the running of the other midfielders,
Right.
Pirlo manages to preserve himself also.
Manages to preserve himself, and not only that, he has to make such a huge impact game after game. I'm sure the Italian Football Federation will not be allowing him the pleasure of taking voluntary retirement as of now, whatever happens in this World Cup. Great start there for Italy. Lots of promise there still for England. 2 games to go. Time for us, at least here on this show, on The Beautiful Game, to take a break. When we come back, we talk to you about the first big surprise. A great big smile on the faces of the Central American side. Costa Rica pulling off a stunner over Uruguay. That's up next. Welcome back. You're watching the beautiful game here on CNN IBN. Now, Costa Rica pulled off the biggest upset in the World Cup so far with a sensational 3-1 win over Uruguay to throw Group D, the group of death, literally wide open. Without the yet to recover Luis Suarez, Uruguay did get off to the start they wanted after Lugano won a penalty in the 27th minute for Cavani to hammer it in for the lead. But their dodgy defense would be their downfall as Gamboa sent in an inviting cross for the unmarked Joel Campbell to shift it onto his left and then slam it in. Scores level in the 54th minute. And they took the lead then within 3 minutes as centre-half Duarte dived in to send an acute header into the net, and the Costa Ricans were celebrating. And they were buried in the 84th minute as Campbell then turned provider, playing in a fine pass for Marcos Urena to slip it under the keeper perfectly. And that's how it stayed as the shell-shocked Uruguayans left shaking their heads in disbelief.
People talked about the deadly group, the group of the 3 champions, but nobody mentioned Costa Rica. We are humble, but now we are enjoying this triumph. Only for this match, the World Cup was worth everything.
Costa Rica is moving forward. We beat Mexico and Sweden in 1990 and then Scotland. So I think we're going to be champions.
What an upset it is indeed for Costa Rica. So much talk about Uruguay being the surprise element in the group of death. But let's break down the match as far as numbers are concerned. Uruguay, in fact, enjoyed 56% of the possession. As far as Costa Rica were concerned, 44%. Lesser number of shots on goal, 9 shots. They didn't know what to do in the final third. Costa Rica had 13, although both were very poor as far as accuracy is concerned. The fact of the matter is that look at the indiscipline, if one could say, of the Uruguayans. 3 yellow cards they picked up and 1 red card in the dying moments of this game. Novi Kapadia, yes, we must, first of all of us must apologize to all the Costa Rican lovers of Costa Rican football, because last night we were talking about Uruguay and only Uruguay. We did not even talk about Costa Rica. But what a performance. And one person would be very happy, Arsene Wenger. The way he sees that he's loaned out this player, Joel Campbell, to Olympiacos, and how he delivers on the big stage. What a fantastic effort from Campbell. He was literally everywhere. He was charging with the ball. He was tearing apart the Uruguayan defense, and he also made sure he provided a perfect assist to end the match on such a high note.
Now, Sanjeev would look at it in another way, that Joel Campbell also told Arsene Wenger, are you watching Arsene Wenger? I mean, why did he loan him out? Arsene Wenger's always complained of lack of firepower up front when Olivier Giroud is not firing. I mean, Campbell was a masterclass. I mean, he tore apart this aging Uruguayan defense.
Right.
And man of the match for me, threading a brilliant through pass.
Right.
The other important factor which has made it very clear, yes, our apologies to Costa Rica, all of us wrote them off, is that there are no more minnows left in the World Cup. We are never going to get a scoreline, Yugoslavia 9, Zaire 0, 1974 World Cup, or our favourite player Laszlo Kiss dominating Hungary 10, El Salvador 1, 1982 World Cup.
Right.
Those days are over. The
Right.
gap is narrowing.
Right.
And Costa Rica played good football. The energy, the involvement, you know, the movement of the ball
Right.
was absolute revelation. And
Right.
the ultimate sad thing was Diego Forlan was forlorn.
Forlorn figure. He cut a forlorn figure.
Was a lost
Yes.
figure in the field.
Yes.
This is sayonara time.
This is sayonara time. Well said, Novi. Karim, on the other hand, there seems to be a problem with the defenses of many a team. Forget about the age for once. You know, we are seeing centre backs. They are causing a problem. Lugano, what was he doing there in the middle of the pitch yesterday? He's such an experienced player.
He's an experienced player, but he's also an Asian player. And let's not forget, Novi just described Campbell, which for me, you know, that's what we was looking for in this World Cup, to discover new talent and new stars.
Right.
He will be definitely a star of this World Cup, especially he's not playing a strong team. So you have one striker who is young, who have pace, who have speed, and you have one centre back who is you know, became slow, and so they could not handle on many occasions.
Yeah, and remember also that all the franchises in the Indian Soccer League would also be watching. So whether Arsene Wenger realizes how good Campbell is or not, few of them might as well actually reach out to such stars. All right, let's see as to how exactly this match has impacted the group of death, which is Group D, after the end of all the two games. Costa Rica, by virtue of their goal difference, with the 3-1 victory, they are on top of Group D at this point of time. 3 points, and they might as well decide which among the two, Italy or England, possibly at this point of time, could progress beyond this stage. Italy picking up full points. They are number 2 with a goal difference of +1. England, negative goal difference, yet to open the account. So is Uruguay. So literally, it could be a very, very difficult game for Uruguay when they play England next Thursday. That could decide whether they stay in this group, in this World Cup anymore or not. All right, moving on to the other game last evening. Colombia celebrating their return to the World Cup finals for the first time since 1998 with a 3-0 win over Greece. Now the Colombians, who are without their star striker Radamel Falcao, didn't need too much time breaking down the usually dar and defensive Greeks. Now Pablo Amero's shot taking a huge deflection, and the Greek goalkeeper Orestes Karnezis had no chance. The celebrations after that goal was something special, as he became the first Colombian to score in a World Cup since 1998. Greece kept hanging in there, and it was 1-0 at half-time. But in the 50th minute, a typical poacher's strike from Trofeo Gutierrez made it 2-0. Greece were unlucky when Zekas hit the post with an empty goal in front of his just after. But the Los Cafeteros had too much flair for the Greeks, and James Rodriguez hammered it in to make it 3-0 in injury time. All right, time for another break in this power-packed edition of the beautiful game. But when we come back, we talk about two of favorite teams of both of our guests, Karim and Novi. The magic of Messi, and also Karim's favorite, Les Bleus, France. Both teams up to play their important games tonight. Welcome back to the beautiful game here on CNN IBN. It's a cracking Sunday, or rather Super Sunday, as far as the World Cup is concerned. Yes, there are three very important matches which are coming up later tonight. The first off, Switzerland versus Ecuador. No choice. The prizes for guessing who would be the more attacking team among the two, although it would be interesting to see how Ecuador plays at this level after a gap of time. The second game, 12:30 p.m. IST, France versus Honduras. Will the new look French team, which has undergone a lot of changes in personnel, including its coach and star strikers, will they be able to make the first big impact on this tournament? And finally, 3:30 in the morning, yes, the magic of Messi versus the sharpness of Edin Dzeko. Argentina versus Bosnia-Herzegovina. That will be the match to watch out for later tonight. Karim, if I could come to you on this one first. We have seen flashes of individual brilliance. We have seen totally different, or rather totally new total football, a new version of total football from the masterclass of the Dutch and of course Italy and Pirlo. But is it time, and is it maybe incoming, that this will be Messi's World Cup? Will he set the stage alight this time?
Well, I'm very optimistic on Messi. Number one, he matured a lot. And number two, mainly because of the support that his teammates is giving him, especially on that final third. You know, the last World Cup, I don't think he had the enough support. Now you have behind you Di Maria, who you know he will provide you with the right passes.
Right.
You have around you Aguero and Higuain, who you know by their intelligent run will create spaces for you.
Right.
So everything is going fine for Messi. It's up to him to provide a good performance and make a difference on this game.
Right, knowing about you, Mohamed Besic, a very interesting talent, 21-year-old midfielder. He has apparently been converted into a holding midfielder, and at least the media there in Brazil is saying that he is the next big hope for Bosnia, other than the established big names, and he could play a central role in stopping the Argentine attacks.
Bosnia will be a very dangerous team. One, they're playing for pride, like I saw Croatia and France 1998, a new entrant, and the forward line, Edin Dzeko, Vedad Ibisevic, who excel for Stuttgart, they could trouble the Argentine defense. Argentina has seen what happened to Uruguay, but one is also looking for the classic approach play from Argentina.
Right.
You know, the brilliant attacking quartet or the trio.
Right.
So I think this will be a fascinating match of contrasts and styles. You know, the Bosnian players, most of them born in a war-torn nation. I mean, Dzeko slept as a child in a bedroom with 12 people,
right,
with bombs falling outside. So, as he says, there's nothing is pressure compared to my childhood. So, even facing Argentina is probably not as bad as what he did, the way he grew up. So, I'm looking forward to a classic match, and hopefully we see Argentina at last living up to expectations.
I love these gems of the history which Novi shares with us. It's wonderful listening to you, Novi, about these particular other facets of the beautiful game which all players and coaches have possibly encountered at some point of time. It also adds a different dimension to the football. But back to the game, Karim, yes, fantastic attacking forward line, line of attackers rather, Argentina has. But the fact is that the defense, again, even for Argentina, the defense is a bit dodgy, specifically on the left. Marcos Rojo, it could be a little bit of a problem when he faces up to someone like a Dzeko.
Well, we had seen in the games that we watch since the start of the World Cup, the teams that normally open up and attack, which Argentina will do, leave their defenses vulnerable. One thing I want to mention here regarding Argentina and their opponents is in previous World Cups, most of the team comes with that system 4-2-3-1 formation, but now we've seen a change. There are two teams that employed against stronger sides a 3-5-2 system, which was a winning system. You have Costa Rica, you have Holland. So now it's up to their opponent the way how they want to expose the weaknesses of those defenses. And it's surprising now because 3-5-2 system, we thought that it's a system that is gone. But now it's brought back in a very modern way. And those teams who are employing it, especially the underdogs, are getting the results.
Well, Karim, you're definitely at your tactical best early in the morning. Novi, to quickly wrap this up, remember Cristiano Ronaldo will be playing later, a day later after Messi. So obviously Messi will not be thinking about what Ronaldo is going to do. But the fact of the matter is, he is simply the biggest star here at the World Cup before he plays. So he will be looking to make that impact right from the word go.
Yeah, I think Messi will be looking at Maradona of 1986, you know, the impact Maradona had, and to win over all those Argentine fans, and finally all the doubting Jonas who said, because he went at the age of 13 to Barcelona, he's more Barcelona than Argentina. I think Messi will want to do that. He is fully mature now, mentally, and you know, maybe not having a great season for Barcelona, a bit of injuries, maybe for once he'll be at his peak for Argentina, and there's enough support up front. That, I think, is the crucial factor. He doesn't have to do it alone. He doesn't have to do a Sachin Tendulkar in the 1990s for the Indian batting lineup.
Definitely, there is more than just the Vinod Kamblis alongside Lionel Messi in the Argentine team. Now, moving on, also in action later tonight are Didier Deschamps' France, who kick off their cup campaign against Honduras. Now, France will be desperate to make amends for a horrendous last World Cup that not only saw them knocked out in the group stages, but also saw infighting within the squad. You can see those pictures on your screens, and the man whose name every French supporter remembered at that point of time, Raymond Dominic. Now, with the troublemakers left out, Deschamps has a wealth of options to choose from, except the injured Franck Ribéry. Les Bleus go into the game as overwhelming favourites, with Honduras having lost 2 of their 3 World Cup warm-up games, even against lesser fancied opponents. Karim, I can see a crease on your forehead. Are you worried? Are you worried about the prospect of France, especially because of the fact that Ribéry had that unfortunate injury?
Well, it was unfortunate because Ribéry is what Messi is for Argentina and what Ronaldo is for Portugal.
And Robin is for the Dutch.
Exactly. So his absence will hurt a little bit France, but I still think they have enough ammunition up front to come out. They're using for the last few games a 4-3-3 formation, very attacking formation.
Right.
The only question is how to accommodate, because there are 2 strikers who they want to use, Giroud, Benzema, are both having the same style. You know, in my opinion, they can play only center forwards. But how they will accommodate them in a 4-3-3 formation, we will see what Deschamps have in his mind.
We'll have loads to talk about France later this evening, both Novi and Karim. But as we wrap this one up, at least, Karim, Novi, I beg your pardon, Karim Benzema, not Ben Sharifa, Benzema. He's also another of those big name players, big ticket players who are yet to deliver for their national teams.
And the responsibility is more on him now, because as we realize that Franck Ribéry is missing, and Franck Ribéry would have given that extra dimension to France. So Karim Benzema has to lift his game. I think he'll probably get the nod, he'll get the start. And he has to deliver for France, because it's a very important. France will also be shivering a bit. They saw what Costa Rica did to Uruguay. So you can't write off Honduras, though they may have lost their 2 friendly games. But obviously this is a group France is expected to top. They've got to get off to a flyer in the match against Honduras.
And certainly they do not want to repeat whatever happened in the last World Cup, particularly with their coach Raymond Dominic. Yes, it was disturbing but also funny visuals when we saw players fighting with the coaches. Well, the first game now, last on this show of the night, though, is a relatively low-key groupie encounter between Switzerland and Ecuador and Brasilia. The Swiss are favourites to progress from the group along with France. Now, under the experienced leadership of coach Omar Hitzfeld, they went unbeaten through the entire qualifying campaign and will hope to extend that streak with a victory in the opening fixture. Ecuador are struggling with injuries to 2 of their first-choice midfielders, which means much of their attacking intent must come from Antonio Valencia and youngster Jefferson Montero on the flanks if they are to get a point. That match, remember, is the first of the blocks tonight, 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. All right, time for our final break here on The Beautiful Game. But when we come back, we'll talk to you about the impact of social media and how you can join us here, join this conversation here on CNN IBN. So stay for that. Welcome back to the beautiful big game. Just a few moments left on the show. Let's take you through all our viewers who have been joining us on the conversation here on Twitter. This one comes from Fossilized Roy. Interesting ID there. Goal. He had to have a say, didn't he? Mario Balotelli puts Italy back in front. Remember the hashtag with which you can join in World Cup. The next one coming in from Aditya 0912 says, what's with English keepers and spilling shots at the World Cup? Next up is Sen Sneha saying, feeling tense, seeing the current situation of the World Cup game. Well, I'm sure the English coaches and the other coaches would also be feeling very, very tense at this point of time. Shinu Garg writes, Costa Rica 3, Uruguay 1 at full time. Everything is possible. This is the World Cup. Well, and the final one, which is in fact our tweet of the day, that says, they say Balotelli can blow hot and cold and you never know what you're going to get from him without meaning to tempt fate. Interesting one there from Fossilized Roy. Remember, you can join in on the conversation here. All you got to do is tweet at IBN Live with the hashtag World Cup. Yes, remember this. WORLDSCUP, hashtag World Cup, and you can leave your comments on the games. Also, your questions for our expert panel of Novi Kapadia and Karim Ben Sharifa. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Always a pleasure speaking to you early in the morning. And we'll be back, remember, tonight at 7:30, where Digvijay Singh Deo will be speaking about the France game to Novi and Karim. On that note, it's time to say goodbye. Have a cracking Sunday.